everyone, all around the globe, from the center of the universe in Reda Wiedenbrück in Germany. Hi, Dan. How are you doing?
Hi. How are you?
Good to see you again. Thank you very much. Now, I managed the last session very well because I only had Melanie. Now I have 3 of you. So a bunch of wild horses on a ranch trying to break out through the fence. So I'm trying to hold that. And in order to do so, first of all, thank you very much for all joining in from Tel Aviv, Los Angeles, and Berlin, I guess. Benjamin, that's probably where you are right now.
That moment I'm in Frankfurt, but same.
You're in Frankfurt, okay, but same. So Germany. And I'm very happy that we have this session. It's going to be not an easy one because we are trying to find out what's really going on in the industry. But in order to, let me say, set the frame, I would just like to start introducing you. And as I have been brought up in Germany in a very traditional family, of course, I start with the lady, Emma Barry. Emma told me, just to not to confuse people, that she has nothing to do, or her family, with the Barry's bootcamp. She said if she would be part of that family, she would have resigned already, and she would only retire on the beach. She is the co-founder and chief creative soul of Good Soul Hunting. I think that a placement recruitment company placed in America, in Europe, in Asia, all over the world. Very, very, very interesting company. I had a look at the homepage. I can only recommend, and I could go on and on now on how to recruit people in the fitness industry. That's another subject for next year. She was born in New Zealand. So Natalia, I made a mistake. I said first in Australia, and she said, well, people have called me worse. So I think that she is from New Zealand. She lives in LA. She travels the world after Corona again. She holds a Bachelor of Physical Education from the University of Otago in New Zealand. She has spent 9 years with a company called Les Mills. I think that everybody knows this company, in senior management positions. Same with Equinox. I think one of the most fantastic brands around the globe in the fitness and health space. 3 years with Equinox. I don't know whether she calls herself a global fitness authority, but she definitely is one. And others call her that. With 25 years of experience, she is a published author. She is a sought-after speaker, as we see in this event. And she is on several boards and advisories. And what I also learned, 35 hours a day and 9 days a week is nothing that comes rare. Emma, welcome. I think that your role, if I might say so, is going to set the meta trends for us. I just had a very interesting look into the podcast that you had, your podcast that you had with Ian about his white paper. I think that if there is a person in this panel who can really judge on what's going on all over the place, I think it is you. Let me go on with Benjamin. Benjamin he's only 40 years old, but he's already a pilgrim father because he belonged to one of the persons that has originated the aggregator business in Germany. Some say aggregators, some say facilitators. Basically, they are collecting a lot of products and services around a country that is linked into fitness, yoga, swim, well-being, wellness. I have read that they have about 50 sports, different sports in their portfolio with about 10,000 partner companies or partner locations, which is quite impressive. They are doing it on a B2B as well as on a B2C level. So they direct communicate with consumers, but at the same time, they have a strong impact and a strong network on companies and their employees. He was born in Nuremberg, so he's a pure German, lives in Berlin or Frankfurt, has 3 kids, is married, studied in Germany and the United States, holds a German BA and an MBA. He worked for several consultancy firms before he kicked off his first startup company called Pilar Sports Club in 2012, which finally has, been brought into the Urban Sports Club company. Benjamin, thank you very much. I think from your angle, it's going to be very important to learn about all the different market players, so not just about the fitness clubs. I think that this is one of the focus areas we are having, but still, I think that they are surrounded by a lot of other offers and a lot of other, services, products that consumers are going to choose in the future. Thank you for joining us. And now, last but not least, Dan Strik. Dan is head of sales, business development, and co-founder of a company called HyFit. They are located in Tel Aviv, Israel. And I'm very happy that we are in a situation right now, Dan, we don't have to worry about your life. I think that we can have that call without being distracted in one way or the other. So I'm very blessed and very glad to have that situation. Dan is going to present a little bit later on about his product world. He was born in Israel and lives in Tel Aviv. As I said, he worked and served for the Israel Defense Forces for more than 3 years. He then was running actually a sales business, a retail business in Cologne, which I thought was great in Germany, which was interesting to learn. And he founded, as I said, the company, co-founded the company HyFit in 2017. Now, there is one saying, or there's one thing that I read about you, Dan. Welcome first. You are going to democratize the functional training business in the world. I think that is a statement. To democratize a whole industry is really big. So let's see how that goes. Let's see how that works. About myself, and I'm just making it very short, but I just want to give you the context also, because I might throw in a little bit of provocative questions later on in the process. And don't take it personal. Never take it personal. It's just about to get a little bit heat into the discussion. I am actually, let me say, the old guy in this business. I have been working for diverse companies, not in the fitness industry, but in 2009, I joined Fitness First, and I was the CEO of Fitness First Germany for 9 years. Afterwards, I acquired with a partner the franchise rights for Germany, Austria, and Switzerland from Anytime Fitness. So that's basically the dinosaur in this round here. Yeah? But I want to give you some perspective before we start. Now, if I look into the numbers that I was finding, basically from Deloitte studies that are the biggest ones who are actually gathering numbers in the German and in the European fitness market, I just throw some numbers at you. So net revenue in 2019 was up by 3% in the fitness market in Germany, and I think that the numbers are not much varying from country to country in Europe. Let's just pursue. The member number went up by 5%. The number of clubs went up by 3.5%. The market penetration went up slightly, not that much, up to 14%. So 14% of the German population is somehow training in fitness clubs. So it's also going slightly up. The average membership due went slightly down. That's probably because the discounters were pushing hard into the market, and there, of course, their price point is different than from the others. And the market split is pretty much, let me say, into the favor of chains. They're increasing their market share, which is about 39%, single club operators 52%, and micro clubs, just to put that also into context, are only 9% of the overall market share measured by revenue. Yeah, so boutique is growing, but it's still a relatively small market. So that's, let me say, that was in 2019. If you look into the numbers 2018, 17, 16, it's probably pretty much the same picture. It's slightly going up, yeah, so not much is happening, but it's increasing. Yeah, so the business is slightly increasing. Now, in 2020, the last numbers I found is that the revenue, net revenue went down by 24% overall in Germany fitness market, 24%, which is quite a ditch, yeah, which is quite a ditch. It could have been worse. Members went down by approximately 12%, and number of clubs only went down by 1.4%. So only a few clubs actually went down in 2020. Now, you could argue that at the end of the day, the business is trotting along pretty okay. It's just doing okay. And a lot of people are saying, well, there will be the creative destruction and the market will be revolutionized and the home fitness market is taking over and the clubs are dead and there is nothing going to happen there and this is going to be a complete disaster. And honestly, if I look at the numbers, I can't really see it. Now, I think also that there are trends in the market that are, let me say, that are described as the so-called hybrid development. So a lot of the fitness clubs are understanding that there is something that's called online and there's outdoor, and they're doing a little bit here and they're doing a little bit there. Whether they come away with this or not, probably you guys are going to tell me, but there is some, let me say, momentum. There is some understanding that there is something going on in this market that is different from what has been before. Now, before I start with my question for Emma, reflecting to even before Corona that there were all these trendsetters, so-called trendsetters, and the gurus who were telling exactly that. As I said before, the market is actually doing quite well. And funny enough, and that is, and they're even saying, and that is the last thing that I heard, that the fitness club business is like the discs and the compact discs of the music industry before MP3 came. So there will be a complete change of the ecosystem. And at the same time, I found 2 clubs in Germany that just recently opened by the Schaller Group called Gold Gym. He opened 2 clubs in Germany, and I just saw a video, and you won't believe it, they look like the clubs from Arnold Schwarzenegger in the 60s, 70s. So, Emma, that is my question to you. What's going on in the industry, and why are there so many things that somehow don't fit together?
Sure. So I think you've hit some of the main points, first of all, and that is that we've created an ecosystem. So we've been trotting along and sort of maybe double-digit growth. If you're running a good business, maybe single-digit growth. We've seen an acceleration of the trends due to digital, due to the pandemic, being held in place, being forced to do things in a different way. However, the pie has become bigger. Now, I'm going to say it really clearly. The clubs are coming back. Okay, so it's absolute crap that these social experiences are going to go away altogether. However, there is a call to action on our industry around doing a better job. Now, fitness is contextual. We've seen that during these times. There are some times we want to be together. We all love to go to music festivals and fitness festivals. We love to be together in cafes and go out for dinner occasionally. We also like the convenience. So we're dealing in the currency of convenience today, where if I have sick kids at home, or if I don't have time, or if I just want to work out in the garage or perhaps go out into the garden, I can do those options as well. When I'm traveling, when I'm on vacation, I like to be able to take my workout with me, and it's probably here and it's probably on my wrist or around my middle. So we want to be able to do what we want to do wherever we are. Okay, so I think it's an everything conversation. Now, some of the big trends that have happened during this time, we've seen partnerships. So everyone who's now trying to launch an app, can I just say there were 71,000 of those launched in the last year? There might be someone out there who already knows what you're doing and has the development team to support you. So, really think about how you're going to partner. Do what you do really well. Now, if you're a face-to-face business, and again, the clubs are coming back, we're seeing that in all the countries that are already opened up. Has the demographic changed? Have some people stayed at home? Yes. But what has also happened? More people are now aware that health, fitness is a very key part of the health solution. So clubs that are opening up again, I know in Australia and New Zealand, parts of Asia, certainly here in the US, new members are rushing back because they now know that the health equation involves fitness. We've all been fighting a very hard fight with government and lobbying, trying to show that fitness was actually an essential service. It was a ridiculously hard discussion to have. But now that we've seen the rise of mental health, the rise of obesity, of anxiety, all of these things, we play such an important part there. So clubs are coming back, but it's an and. The ecosystem's getting better. We have got to get better in the live experiences. We've got to double down on being human. We've got to be better socially. We've got to lean into technology when technology has a better solution. It's fast. It's automated. It automates the mundane for us. It does all of those things that humans aren't frankly very good at. The data collection, the predictive programming, all the ML and the AI, all the stuff that's coming in to support us so that we can be better face to face. So, you know, some of the things we're seeing, hybridization, I love the term phygital myself. I love the best of technology and the best of live and bringing those together. And so just some of the themes that we're seeing out there. So the clubs are definitely coming back. I'm going to say that really strongly. And there's going to be a lot more options. We're going to serve businesses and people, demographics that have not been met before. The boutique sector's been innovating really hardcore for the last decade, and it's shown us how to really hyper focus on experience and really make a potent experience. We all have to learn from that, okay, and then bring that into our business models as well. But technology is going to stitch it all together in the same way that Apple have done the whole software, hardware, closed the loop on that. We have to get better at that, but it all comes down to community. So we've got to get better at building the community, and that can happen online, offline, but majority will be doing both.
Thank you very much. Dan, before we come to you, and you are going to tell us a little bit about High Gear and what your philosophy behind it is. Benjamin, can I ask you one question? Because that was always in my mind when I was at Fitness First. Why is it so difficult to actually increase the penetration rates in a country? We know from Scandinavian countries that penetration rate in the relevant population, whatever you call it, is by far higher than, for example, in Germany. So my point would be all the trends that Emma rightly so described, are they at the end of the day increasing the percentage of people that are actually training in clubs or linked to clubs one way or the other? And can you see those kind of trends, for example, in the employees environment in companies where you might run into people that never have been connected to fitness at all?
Yeah, well, good point. So first of all, I strongly believe in everything what Emma actually just said. I also believe that, for example, the trend of boutique fitness will be back again once the lockdowns are lifted, and which will also help actually when it comes to a further penetration within the population. If I look at the Nordics, for example, in Europe or the Netherlands, these are countries where boutique fitness is already more established than in the other markets. And well, is it a coincidence or not? We see a higher penetration in all those markets. I strongly believe that in the end, everyone can find an activity that you enjoy and that motivates you, and that comes for me with variety and also flexibility. And I think boutique fitness is actually a key instrument here to bring more joy and fun to people and to bring them also into the clubs and to motivate them. For companies, since you were just asking about corporate sports, so I actually see that for us, when it comes to penetration rates at companies, the most relevant factor is here again, having really that huge variety, offering something to everyone, not only to the very sporty people, but really low barriers to entry activities. So, and I'm talking really about even a massage or just a sauna. So something where you start doing something for yourself before you really go into workouts maybe and find the right really sweaty, sporty activity. But we see in those companies that you need to path the way for those people and make sure that they really find the activities that will motivate them further on in the future. And that's a challenge, but I strongly believe that we have everything in our hands to increase penetration rates in all the markets out there to levels as we see them in the Nordics.
Okay, good. I will come back to you later. Dan, now I'm going to share my screen because you started actually selling TRX equipment to the Israeli army, which I think is quite a thing to do. And then at the same time, I have read an article about you where you are saying, or your company is saying, we are going to be the Apple of fitness. That is also quite a statement. Now, let me share my screen, and then you are going to lead us through what High Gear is all about, and then we get a better understanding. So I hope that you can now see something.
Yep, we see
Perfect.
it. Everyone can hear me all right?
We can hear you all right, and you are just telling me when to move on with the slides, because that is under my control. And as I said, I'm going to cut you off after 4 minutes.
Perfect, no worries. I'll try to make it even 3 minutes. All right, so thank you very much for having me. It's a pleasure. Thank you, Natalia. Thank you, Stefan. My name is Dan once again. Nice meeting you all. I would actually speak German if you want. No, I'm just kidding. I know a couple of words. So yeah, a little bit about us. So for those of you who heard about our company before, High Gear is actually our new name. It was HyFit before. We kind of like rebranded the name of the company. And our mission is, as you mentioned at the beginning, Stefan, is to democratize personal trainings. The way we personalize these trainings is through fitness equipment and through bringing the HyGear platform, which I'll explain in a second. I just want to give an overall background of where I'm coming from and how we came up with the idea to what we do today. So as Stefan mentioned, we used to distribute different fitness equipment both in Germany and in Israel. Since we were soldiers, we had a very big passion for the fitness industry over the past decades. And we've seen that there is a small gap between those who know how to train well, which is like probably like most of the people are here in this summit, to the people who don't really know how to train, but they have the motivation, but they need the guidance. So pretty much how we did it is by combining AI technologies and our sophisticated app. Maybe you can scroll and go to the next slide. So HyGear is all about bringing the fitness studio to our living room. Currently, we're focusing on B2C sales only. Later on, we'll open our B2B channels as well. We all know that the gym are going to be back, so it's not a secret. But our first product is Gear One, which is a smart functional training equipment. You can see here it comes with this package. Gear One is basically the first product we had in mind. The product lets you train with it anywhere, so it's basically a portable gym. And the good thing here that we invented is we have embedded sensors in each of our products. You can go to the next slide. The product itself tracks our workout, and through the data of our customers, we know how to personalize different workout. So let's say that Stefan's goal right now is to gain more muscles, right? Or to work on his core muscles. The product will actually identify his fitness level through his workouts, and then we'll know how to give him the right and exact workout content. So if you go to the next slide, HyGear is basically combining between the on-demand fitness to the connected fitness market. We've seen a huge growth in the connected market. There are a lot of products that are turning smart. Most of the products are smart today, cardiovasculars and etc. And the on-demand market is very big. But with our product, we take the data from the customers and we give the right workout content for them. So can you go to the next slide, please? Yeah. So 3 main elements that we're focusing on are space, guidance, and affordability. So our first product, Gear One, which is now in market since May 20. We're selling almost in 30 different countries today. This product basically allows you to train with it anywhere. The rest of the products will come in the upcoming year. We already have 2 new products that are out soon. All of our products are affordable, so we sell our products for $0 upfront, or you can buy them for $15 per month, going to $29. We also work with a lot of distributors that distribute it. But the idea here is not the product themselves, but the service we know how to give to the customers, because that's the most important thing. And of course, as you all know, the engagement that we have with the customers is the most important thing, and to have the customers satisfied and of course in their best shape. So if you go to the next slide, I can show you kind of like what is the HyGear platform. So as you can see, HyGear is not a hardware company. HyGear is a completely service company where we have the engine in the middle. We have all of our equipment. So we have Gear One. Very soon we will be launching smart kettlebells, slam ball, battle ropes. We already have a smart jumping rope that is dropping now. We have a smart stick workout, and etc. All of our products are connected to the cloud. We have the on-demand workout. We're filming around 150 different workouts per month. So the system knows how to take all of our data and basically give us the right guidance. Can you skip one? Yeah, so that's maybe another one. Yep, so here you can see how the product works. It's pretty much a full body workout system, but again, the hardware is not the main focus. Hardware is just the way we bring our service to our customers. As you mentioned before with Les Mills is a great platform and a great tool, which I'll be happy also to see how we can collaborate later on. But yeah, we didn't invent the wheel with the product, but mainly with the service. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dan. Thank you very much for the short presentation. It leads me to a question. That's why I wanted to give you the space. And Emma, maybe you just drop in, and then everybody else just hops in whenever you think that that you want to contribute something, because I want to keep it now a little loose conversation. There are actually two things that come to my mind immediately when I see those kind of trends with all the artificial intelligence and on the personal data. And maybe it sounds a little bit German, a little bit Prussian, but how do you guys look at data protection? How do you look at the side that we are playing with a lot of data from end consumers, private people, health information, personal data that is all over the place, and that needs to be all over the place because otherwise in an ecosystem, people cannot work with it. So you need to share it constantly. Now, you could argue, Stefan, you're a sugar daddy, you're 50 years old. Oh, what the fuck are you talking about? Because we are sharing data anyway in Facebook and Twitter and whatever it is. But we also see a trend that people are getting more and more concerned about that trend. So how do you deal with this data issue when it comes to health and fitness data, which is basically collected all over the place, and something like HyGear can't work without data? Emma.
Yeah, well, the boys are probably better positioned to really talk to the technicalities of this, but there's a lot of heat on this right now in the US. I'm sure you're following along. A lot of the big tech boys are all sort of being examined and stuff like that right now. So it's sort of interesting because my list got sold 4 times last year in the United States, so it's almost like the ship has sailed a little bit. But there's definitely all those new controls in place now. Provided people want to share that data, it's going to be able to be readily handled. People talk about the digital twin. They talk about all the data sitting in one spot. It's getting harder to do here in the US. It is a very real thing, and people are definitely wanting to have a little bit more protection. But at the same time, they're wanting to be served in the same way that Amazon Prime does, and we have exactly what we want on our doorstep tomorrow. So it's sort of I think we're going to go through a little bit of a clunky phase over the next year or two, but then it's kind of going to settle down. But we're definitely feeling the power coming back to the consumer in terms of managing that data. But I'll leave it to the boys to perhaps talk technically behind the scenes.
Then, so how do you deal with this data protection issue, or how do you convince customers that it is actually no issue for them to just share the data that is somewhere collected in a cloud, wherever the cloud is, that probably none of the people know. So how do you deal with this, or is there no resentment at all?
First, there is no resentment, yeah, but how we deal with it, first of all, being honest and being humble, we're still at the beginning, so we didn't have any issue with that yet. And I'm sure we will. If we won't have, I think we'll have a problem because, it's a good problem to have. But yeah, it's just about building the trust with the customers, and, we're taking all the data directly to the cloud. And, yeah.
Okay. Benjamin, maybe asking you, because you are dealing with the employers, which are also, let me say, the kind of interface between the consumer, which is the employee, and the companies you are dealing with. So do employers in Germany or in other countries you're working in, do they have a specific view on that point?
Yeah, I need to say, well, independently whether employer or employee or just like a B2C member, so we get daily requests on data. So what do we do with the data? Do we share data with someone? If so, what do we share? So we definitely have the need of our own data protection team, and we see a lot of requests, as I said, coming in. So it is a big topic for people out there, and I also believe that customers want to gain back the trust that they lost to some of the larger tech companies out there. I believe it's very, very crucial to make it really transparent to members, to customers. What do you do with the data? Give them the chance that they can click and allow what they believe is right. And whether they want to have, recommendations based on the data or not, should be in the end in their hands. Yeah? And I feel that's really crucial, and we can see that from our customer bases. Corporates specifically, of course, even more, but we see that as a trend in all the European countries where we operate, that people really take care and want to know what we do with the data.
Okay. Thank you very much for that comment, because I just wanted to cover it up. It's not the main topic, but I think that this whole GDPR and this whole compliance thing and data all over the place is an issue which is we are going to be confronted with in the future, even more so if artificial intelligence are kicking in and all that stuff. Now, let me go back to a point. that, and I start with Emma again, and then the two guys follow, Dan and Ben. There is so much out there. Still, the penetration rate that we talked about is still relatively low, at least in a country like Germany. And when I spoke to Emma the first time, and I asked her, we are social animals, so how do you get people really to get motivated and really use whatever is out there, whether it's a club membership, or it is high gear, or it is a Kettler bike, or it is Peloton. The overarching point for me is, how do you get people motivated? And Emma said one of the big revolutions in the fitness industry was Zumba. Now, you could laugh, but it's not about laughing. It is about that Zumba suddenly motivated people that have never, ever been before motivated by movement, because they had an intuitive, let me say, access to dancing. So how do we overcome that point to motivate people, whether they are going to use high gear at the end or whatever? How is that going to happen, Emma?
Yes, right. And it's a great example. And the reason Zumba is so interesting is because they stepped away from fitness and they said, join the party, ditch the workout, join the party. So it was a whole different focus. And that would be my first point is, we've done a horrible job as an industry really addressing the main audience out there. Fitness has been perceived as the freaks, the six-pack, the size 0 models, the rest of it. So that's a terrible marketing message for people who just want to move and be healthy, and it's very exclusive. So what we've seen during this time is that the marketing message around fitness is going to be much more tailored towards health. Now, of course, you're going to have your high-performing brands. You're always going to have Equinox doing what Equinox does. You're always going to have those hardcore brands and the hits and some of the boutiques we know out there, the Barry's Boot Camp, where you kind of feel like you've got to be fit before you join. So that's going to happen. But the marketing message is going to be a lot broader. We're also seeing a lot more micro-niching or niching, where there's a great example the other day. I was on a panel in Sao Pellegrino. One of the guys said, look, hey, last 10 years, we've just been focusing on the well-heeled millennial, the 32-year-old female who's a marketing manager from downtown. What about the rest of the world? And he said, I'm a boomer. He says, I've paid off my house. My kids are through college. I've had my vaccinations. I've got all the money. Come at me. So you're going to see the boomers and people who don't like exercise. And I just saw a wonderful quote in the chat there around the above 60s. So you're going to see people being able to meet a lot more of those unmet needs. Now let's take Peloton as an example. Why have they been so successful? Crikey, what are they spending? $750 million US dollars a year on marketing and being omnipresent and everywhere. And they've really, and I know a lot of my non-fitness friends are doing Peloton because they're finding it so intoxicating, and they've found the 3 instructors that they love, and they're on there because it's changed the marketing message. It's got them in front of them because of technology. You're only going to walk past a gym that looks like a freak show. I don't want to go in there. My parents, you're never going to get them in a gym, but you might get them attaching to one of these many, many hundreds of thousands of initiatives that are now coming out of the pandemic that's been bolstered by technology, but then pushed out there through a different message. So I think that's sort of my main point there.
Yeah. Then democratizing of the fitness. So that is the point. So I think that you are trying to also extend the market. So who are you selling to? Are you going to sell to personal trainers? Are you going to sell your equipment to consumers, to end consumers, people that have not been attracted by fitness so far? So what do you mean by democratizing the fitness or the functional training?
First of all, I must say that I completely agree with all that Emma said here in regards to the motivation. That's also where we're focusing on, and I think that's where Peloton really made a great job. That's the first thing. Second thing, as for the democratization, sorry for my accent. Look, basically, what is democratizing fitness training? So, I think today the main problem of most of the people who want to train, and I'm not talking right now about the athletes, I'm mainly talking about the everyday person. I think most of their problems is that they don't really know how to train. So they either don't feel comfortable, or they don't know how to work out, or it's too expensive for them. They don't have the time. They don't have the community of the personal trainers, like in Peloton, for example, or like some sort of online trainers. So the way we democratize it is mainly through the price and through the service. And I always say this to my investors, and I always say it to my business partners. Not everyone has the $4,000 to pay for a Peloton bike, but everyone has the $15 per month to pay for high gear. So that's how we're basically taking over that market. And we're not competing against Peloton because I think they're on a way different kind of like market. But the democratization with our product and with our service is basically through the price and through touching those people who don't really have the knowledge and the price to go to the level that they want to go to. And especially because of the data, where we know how to take the data from the customers and personalize the workouts. Because today, if you use a Peloton machine or you use any sort of on-demand classes, most of the on-demand classes, not everything, I think the main issue there is that the trainer needs to choose the right workout content for them. Instead of like just having a personal trainer. For example, me, I started boxing a long time ago. When I started boxing, I took a personal trainer. He's just telling me, Dan, do this, do that. He knows exactly my skills, my performance. He knows where to take me to the limit. And yeah, I think all of our equipment, and when you touched at the beginning and said the Apple of Fitness, I think the Apple of Fitness is a nice way to say it, but what it actually means, the core of the Apple of Fitness is Apple is for everyone. And everyone, like my grandfather knows how to use an iPhone because it's easy, it's simple. So I think fitness needs to be more simple and simplified.
I absolutely agree. So, but let me say, Benjamin, if you look at the portfolio of your partners that you're having, so how do you look at this, let me say, in 12 to 18 months time from now? Forget about the Corona pandemic. We are coming to this a little bit later, but how does that portfolio look like? So who is dominating it? For example, could you imagine that you are going to sell high gear equipment to companies as well? Because you're saying it's not just about bricks and mortar. It's not just about clubs, whether they are big or small or cheap, or because you're basically trying to facilitate an industry which is offering health and fitness to people. So you could actually access a lot of different services like high gear or like Kettler bikes or whatever, and lease and sell them and whatever in order to increase that market. So how do you look at this? Or are you just saying, no, we are in that bricks and mortar, let me say, catchment, and that's where we are happy with? How would you respond to that?
Yeah. No, absolutely good point. I mean, we see us really rather as an ecosystem. So we started with the aggregation of sports activities in clubs, in gyms, at swimming pools, wherever, but really on site, and then changed together with COVID to an online aggregation, and what we will do also in the future. So we have now live classes and on-demand classes, but always from our partners. So we don't like purchase them from somewhere, but really use the content of the teachers, of the studios that work with us. And I completely agree. So looking to corporations now with hardware providers is definitely something that is interesting for us, that we will also look into, because in the end, I mean, we want to make sure that our members become, like, as Europe Active also says it, right, like more active more often. And we believe whatever helps here is great. And we believe that corporates, for example, they don't really care whether people end up going to the gym, whether they do online classes or whether they use then, for example, equipment at home. Like for them, it's really important that they stay active, that also they see that this was a value that they got from their employer, and that's a caring company. And we definitely look into those trends, into the demand, and we'll add whatever is needed to keep people active and also increase the market with this.
Okay, so what you are saying basically is that, Benjamin, at least for Urban Sports Club, you are not tied to any kind of shape or form of partners. You're basically doing whatever employers and employees are requesting you to do in order to become healthier and fitter and healthier. Good,
yeah, absolutely. Good. Yeah. Also, I need to say, I think it would be very, like, most employers are a bit step behind, right? I think if you would now come up with a Peloton or high gear offer, it would be, you would need to explain a lot really to them. So they're certainly not the early adopters of those trends, but rather the ones who will learn by their probably millennial employees what's interesting now and what's the trend that will come then later to the employer. So that's something to keep in mind.
Benjamin, just one very short question before I step to Emma with another one. How do you look at the, let me say, of the structure of the market? Let's say Germany, but I think that it's going to be pretty much the same in other markets. So who are going to be the big players? So what is going to change after Corona in your portfolio? So are the chains are going to be dominating? Are the single club operators are going to be diminished? Are going to be taken over? Is brand... Are strong brands important because they connect with people quicker than let me say, mom and pop shops? So how do you see the market, the portfolio of clubs from your perspective?
So in general, I think the good news are that we still have not seen a mass closure of gyms or other venues out there. Thanks to governmental support programs, especially in Europe, I feel, but also since a lot of investors strongly believe in this market and help also companies surviving here. And of course, this kind of danger is not over. So it will all depend on a fast recovery for those studios to get back out of the crisis fast, because otherwise, if costs will continually be higher than the income, all especially those mom and pop stores won't survive. So this is of course the chance now for the larger gym chains to gain market share, because they have the investors to buy venues, and especially smaller gym chains we saw struggling in the past month. So the ones who were expanding from a single venue to a chain of 3 to 4 venues without investors, but with having still a lot of debt on the accounts. So these are the ones we see in danger, and who will probably be acquired by other large gym chains if lockdowns are not if recovery is not getting as good as they hope for.
Okay. Emma, can I ask you a question? As I know that you are linked a little bit, at least, with Basic Fit, that you know the market very well, the big players. So I could argue that if you look at an Anytime Fitness article from the UK, they have seen the strongest April in new membership ever since they have opened. Now, the question to you is it good? Provocative question. Is it good that the dinosaurs, the big dinosaurs, are going to survive this crisis? Or is it actually not good? Because in a way, they are, let me say, withholding the creative destruction, which we are actually all foreseeing one way. But we all know that the big elephants are normally not moving as fast as the little ones. So is it a good trend at the moment that they are consolidating the markets and that they're actually getting bigger and bigger, or is it bad?
Look, I think you have to look at it from a needs perspective. You know, it's the consumer's time. You know, as a member, as a tribe of whatever I belong to, I have the power right now. Now, people are only going to step towards solutions. And what's great about Anytime, and I certainly know about Basic Fit, and I don't necessarily put those in the same camp. There's a huge amount of technology that sits behind Basic Fit. You are automated. You can go in there and have your own workout at a very high level, personal train, you know, do your classes, whatever. I'm managing myself, but the price is very affordable. So we are fast, you know, so therefore I'm going to go. Now, what did people miss during this time? They missed the lat pull down. They missed the treadmill. Not everyone can afford or room or afford a treadmill in their beautiful little lounge. So there's pent-up demand. People want to come back. So when you talk about the dinosaurs, everyone has to evolve. The Anytimes are going to have to evolve. The Basic Fits are evolving in order to meet that demand. But if people are driven by price, they want that. They want to spend $10, $20, $25, euros, wherever you are, to be able to go and have access to these phenomenal facilities and then somewhat be in control of their fitness experience. So everyone's going to be forced into innovation would be my main point. And anyone who has a good solution for the market should survive would be my position. And you're going to have people, you're going to have an anti-trend. There'll be some people who manage to get away from technology because there's going to be a market for that. It might be small and it's over here, but there's going to be a market for that. There's people who want price low. You've got people who want a high experience. I think personally you're going to get both. I think you're going to get very good value for very good price, because look at the players in the market. We've got big tech, athleisure, we've got clubs, we've got boutiques. We're all going to have to take a leaf from each other's book and do more to delight our members. Otherwise, they're going to leave. They have so much choice, but they love you. Like, we own the community. So there's room for all of us. But the caveat would be everyone has to evolve, because they're going to start comparing. Everyone, look at Peloton. It's changed our world forever. The biggest conversation, I think, in the last few years has been Peloton. Everyone said you can't build a community online. well, they have a higher retention rate than most bricks and mortars. Yes, you're locked into software and hardware and recurring, subscription. I get it. But, they created this. I've got people who are so cultish about Peloton more than many bricks and mortar. So it is possible. But then people also go to New York City to have the live Peloton experience. So I would actually pick that people are going to reverse out this model. I'd be very surprised if Peloton and the rest of them didn't run big events at some point in the future, just to put it out there.
Yeah. Dan, can I ask you a question? Do you think that somebody will tell you in about 5 years' time that you killed the fitness club business?
And
the PTs as well?
Hopefully I won't kill anyone, but
you're not going to be invited for this.
I don't think so, because maybe right now Iger is focusing on the B2C side, and you can always see, especially now with the COVID, all the big companies like Tonal, Muir, Peloton, Tempo Fit, and etc. What they are selling is basically the home fitness studio. We're actually selling the home fitness studio, but one of the main models that we're going after, and that's what you asked Benjamin as well regarding high gear and fitness first, is basically kind of like working in partnerships with the gyms and with all the distributors and the big B2B guys, where we can first thing offer our solution to their customers, and maybe generate content with the gyms, with Equinox, or with any other big brand like Anytime Fitness and etc. And especially, of course, we're now working on it, but we're going to come up in the upcoming year with a B2B product as well that will be for gyms as well.
To all of you, a question, because I think that we are all in agreement that there will be an ecosystem that the consumer, let me say, regains the power and that he can actually choose. And the more options he has, the better it is for the overall development of the fitness and health industry. Let's cut the shit. At the end of the day, we all want to make money. We all are out there to make money. And somebody wants to, let me say, materialize on what he is investing in. And that's primarily at the moment the relationship with the customer and the information that the customer is giving us, because that is driving the individual, let me say, dealing with the customer. So at the end of the day, even if we're saying it's all an ecosystem, we're all in partnership and who is going to be the owner of the customer? Emma, who is it?
Well, currently, and again, I come back to the community point, and Ian Mullane addresses this in his white paper, The Fitness Future, and that is the club is currently the hub or could position to be the hub, okay? Now, it's going to go to whoever runs that relationship the best and whoever you follow into wherever, because so we're fast becoming a lifestyle brand. And one of those earlier points I made around, as part of that ecosystem, you have to really double down on what you do really well. So if you do programming and if you do community and bringing people together and those sorts of things, you have to get very good at that. And then you have to partner the rest. So I would say the clubs at this moment, they are the hub of that community, but they're going to have to work hard to hang on to it. And then, there's other online communities and they're the hub of that. So that's something that we have right now is this really, very real touch point. So that's the piece that you should be going for, in our humble opinion, and there's a lot more detail in the paper, but that is a starting point. And then depending on where your expertise is, how far out you can go. So you've got lots of people who are reaching into partnerships with technology, platform, aggregators, athleisure, F&B, all the things, mindfulness. So you've got people living on different platforms and actually bringing in different parts of lifestyle. Because if you look at ClassPass before the pandemic, obviously they represent a lot of bricks and mortars businesses, and people are like, oh, they're going after this and that. They were trying to own every experience outside work. So everything was very large. It was all about lifestyle. So I would say as a starting point, start with a community, because that's actually what you own, and then get really good at the others through partnership.
Okay. Throwing that question at Ben. Ben, I remember a session we had at the FIBO a couple of years ago when the aggregators came up in the industry, and I think that the club owners hated you. I mean, that they didn't throw eggs at you and rotten tomatoes at the stage was actually pretty nice. And there was a I'm not saying names. So there was another aggregator on stage. There was a consultant on stage who was actually hired by a big club chain, trying to analyze whether it makes sense to hook up with aggregators or not. And of course, the end result was no. So if you look back and if you look at today, so how is that? Who is owning the customer? Who is actually the one who is actually controlling the customer? Because that was the issue at this stage. That was the issue, that all the clubs were very afraid that the aggregators are going to take that away from them. That they are just going to be, let me say, the last bit of the chain, but not under control anymore, because the aggregators are basically controlling the situation. So how do you look at this today? And how is that, let me say, corresponding with what Emma said?
Yeah, so sorry, the connection just was gone for a second, but I hope you can hear me now. Okay, so yeah, I definitely got a lot of insults over the past years when it comes to my business model, or our business model. On the other hand, I think the same happened to the discount gyms, right, in the past. So when they entered the market, they were also not like seen as something that everyone was welcoming, but rather a lot of gym chains were afraid of them. And in the meantime, like they belong to the gyms as all the other models, and they're actually even dominating. In our case, it has also changed over the years. So the discussions, who is owning the customer, actually are not there as they were doing, for example, that you're referring to. I think a lot of clubs have like created a new understanding of how we actually help people to get more active more often. And this is with the hubs that Emma was also referring to, was talking about, but less than like who is actually then in the end owning the data in terms of when did this member sign up, or what kind of sports do they do? Because I feel that they rather want to collaborate and see us as a business development partner and tool. So what they want to make sure is that we, of course, also share insights, how they can improve their business, how they can make sure that they get more visits in the future, and see us rather as a marketing and sales tool. And that of course is something that takes some time and was not really there when we entered the market. But it's a new approach, and I think it will definitely continue like that. At least we saw that over the past months, that more and more gym chains that were never open to work with an aggregator are now open to work with us, and we're not discussing who's owning actually the data. It's rather about how do we make sure that we have a sustainable and long-term relationship, that we really create a win-win relation here. I think that's really important, that we discuss on eye level, and that we also find contracts that reflect that.
Okay, just one more question, because you were just talking about it. So what roles are the companies, I come back to this, are going to play in the future? Because I think that good soul hunting, I mean, at the end of the day, people they want to work in a space where the employer is also taking care of them from a health and fitness perspective. So I learned in my career that more and more staff is actually, let me say, accepting that their salaries are not the top-notch salaries in the industry, as long as the employer is giving them something that is actually contributing to the rest of their life needs. So if you are talking to employers, do you see this trend that they see? Because again, I come to the point of penetration rate, and I'm always very, very concerned when I hear the discussions about the fitness industry and the health industry, and that is all developing very nicely. I don't know how it is in America, Emma, but obesity in Germany, especially with children, is the highest in the last years. So we see a trend that there are certain people in the society which are getting healthier and healthier and healthier and fitter and fitter and fitter, but a vast majority of the people are just left behind. So what can employers do in order to break that? And what can other companies do in the industry, club chains, whoever it is, in order to make that a little bit more democratic? That we're not just talking about the total fit guys, and then the rest of the society is not going to be fit at all. What are employers telling you? What could you do?
Sure. Well, first thing is, I mean, it's our priorities were shifted during the pandemic, right? So people coming back to work, it's now an expectation, like we talk about shifting expectations in businesses. Workplace wellness is very important. And a lot of this has been driven by the millennial-minded people as well, is that people, first of all, they want a business that has a good purpose. So people are sick of making money for big, dirty corporates. They want to see where we're going, and they will take a pay cut. And I'm not trying to cut the industry, because I know that a lot of people are already relatively underpaid compared to other segments. But, people want to have a purpose. They love our industry because it's full of passion and innovation. We in our search brand, we have a lot of people coming from other industries because they've been where the fitness industry is going. You've got to remember, fitness, organised fitness, at least from my specialty of group fitness, is only 50 years old, a little bit, give or take. So we're very immature as a business. We have to look sideways into retail and hospitality and all the other businesses, because all of those resources are now coming in. So I would say purpose-led, you've got to have a wellness program. We've had so many social issues over the last 15 months. We've had Black Lives Matter. We've had, the rise of female leadership. All of these things are smashing in. And they're basically saying whoever you're serving, you need that to be represented in the people that are serving your company, that are working for you. And if you just have all that, back to my earlier example of the models and all the fit people, if that's not your demographic, you can't just hire those people anymore. So everything's becoming a lot more accepting. You've got to really open up, because new minds. And we know the top companies in the world do really well because they have diverse views all coming in. So It's the same thing in how we present ourselves. So more mindful of our employees. You've got to treat your employees well in order to treat your members well. And that's just the way that it goes. So we're seeing a lot of trends around that right now.
Good. For each of you, we have only 1 or 2 minutes left. I will ask 2 questions, and please answer very quickly. I'll start with Dan. Is the fitness industry well represented in the political environment? And I'm asking the same question to all of you. Yeah. Is it well represented in the political environment? And second questions, are we going to see next year more fitness clubs, bricks and mortar, or less?
The question is yes. For the first question, I think yes, but always can be better. As for the second question, are we
going to see more clubs in next year, more bricks and mortar clubs than today, or less?
First of all, 100%. I think right now after COVID, a lot of new clubs and new kind of like ways of working out will open up again, new concepts and new trends. So I think it's not something that is going to go to sleep. We have a lot of years ahead of us.
Okay, Benjamin?
So my answer to the first question is no. I feel that, especially in Europe, it became clear that politicians don't connect fitness and health. And we actually really need to work on that. So we learned our lessons. And I think a lot of organizations like Europe Active are now getting better and better in this, making sure that we connect the dots and get away from bodybuilding to really health and prevention connected to fitness. And I believe we will see more clubs, but it will be smaller ones, more event-driven, more event-focused ones, as for example, the boutique trend that we mentioned. So there will be a continuous growth.
Emma, you are going to have the Schlusswort, as we say in Germany. You are the one who's closing the panel.
Great. So we have the Gyms Act moving through the Senate here in the US right now, which is the most advanced we've ever had in terms of fitness becoming a part of that health solution. So I would agree with the panel. I would say not yet, but we're making great moves, and we're actually getting a lot of people to sign that as well. So there's been a huge amount of effort going in from IRSA, from Europe Active, UK Active, all the associations banding together and pushing through. And then I would say give us 18 months. We've lost 25% of our market here, according to IRSA stats, that won't reopen. However, we've seen an extraordinary amount of investment, roll-ups. We've got Exponential, we've got all the clubs doubling down, we've got Reiner's group over here. All of these things are really lifting, and I believe that we're going to come back stronger, but in a better way and technologically enabled.
Thank you very much. It was very interesting. The hour flew away, so that's very good news. I wish you all great success in the future, and I hope that we are going to see each other soon live.